big news.
We were able to agree to terms on a deal with Los Angeles Rams on moving that first overall pick.
When is that ever going to happen
Eagles
again?
get the number 2 overall pick.
Everyone has an opinion. And they all think they're the smartest person in the room.
He's no Dion, but this kid rarely
We
gets
could market
false
him
step.
as the face of the franchise.
We'd have to move up to get him.
At the end of the day, I gotta trust my instincts. We have an opportunity here.
Yo, what's going on, fellas? It's your boy, The Bus, and we back again, man. You know, season went kind of fast. We doing our ritual mock draft, man, and y'all know I got the homie with me, man. And bro, what's happening?
What's going on, Bus? It's round 2. Season 2 is about to wrap up between the Ravens and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. You know, it's draft time, so you know everyone's getting hyped right now because we get to see these top 10 picks, and I think we did pretty good last season. I think we got 7 of the 10 right, so let's see if we can kind of get a little bit better, man. Shoot for over that 70% mark.
Yeah, we gonna see, man. We gonna see. And but before we get into the draft pick, the number 1 draft pick, let's just talk about the season, man. Like, I know we both had high expectations, man. We both made the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I exited early from a defeat by the Packers, and the Packers exited right after me from a defeat from the Seahawks. Man, what's your expectations for the draft, and who do you even think gonna win the Super Bowl?
Man, this season was, pretty crazy, man. I mean, I said it from the rip. I didn't think we would see like a repeat Super Bowl champ, but to see Vandy back in the Super Bowl again is pretty impressive, especially for how many losses player-wise that he had. So to see him in OG in the Super Bowl is going to be a high-octane type game. You got a great user in Vandy. You got OG who's riding a high right now. I mean, he knocked me out of the playoffs by 3. He knocked out Hot Tub by 3. So, I mean, he's riding Kenneth Walker. Right now, OG's moonwalking. So we're going to see if he can keep the momentum and pull off a dub. But, man, I got to go with Vandy in the Super Bowl. I think his defense just on another level right now. I think he just drives you to be impatient offensively. If you watch Vandy play, man, he just plays so calm. Even when the game isn't going his way, he just knows how to play within his system. He takes what the defense gives. And, I made my prediction. I think the Ravens will win 34-28. So I think it's going to be a really good game, but I'm excited to see the game tonight for sure.
Gotcha. All right, man. So let's go ahead and dive into it, man. And me and you talked earlier, man. We was like, man, some of these teams seem like they're just real redundant, being in the top 10 or top 5. So, with the number 1 overall pick, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that's Big Homie, right?
That's Big Homie, man. I think he has a permanent parking spot in the top 5.
Right. So Big Homie has the number 1 overall pick, and just taking a quick look at his roster, man. Well, we both have him picking a quarterback, so we both think there's a pressing need at the quarterback spot. But my question to you, Embro, why quarterback when he has a young Kenny Pickett, you know what I'm saying, QB of the future? Is he not the guy?
I mean, just watching Big Homie for 2 seasons now. When you got guys like George Pickens, you got tight ends like Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth, and you got so many weapons in that offense, and you're not seeing the production from those skill positions, and it comes back to the quarterback. And Kenny Pickett, man, he just doesn't have the zip on the ball. He don't have the throw power, so he really can't attack defenses vertically. And when you're playing in a division with obviously back-to-back, Super Bowl AFC rep in the Ravens, you got the high-octane Browns, you got the Bengals who are, an up-and-down team. I mean, you're in a tough division, so you got to be able to put points on the board. And if you look at every time that they play, he's getting smoked. And when you're in a shootout going against Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, you got to be able to put points on the board. And Kenny Pickett just isn't that guy. I mean, George Pickens' career is just getting wasted right now. And you got to get a guy back there that can sling the rock. And I think that's why we both went quarterback, because there's a lot of great players in the draft. But big homie, if you don't take a quarterback, dog, then we got to look at maybe replacing you in the dynasty because this right here is like an easy decision.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett is not that guy. There's not going to be a free agent out there for you to go pick up that's going to be good enough. Go get you one of these home run picks at quarterback, man, to help you possibly get out of that bottom 5 spot.
All right, so we both got him going quarterback. So we got to dive into, what's so good about Manuel Ribeiro from Ohio State. That's who you got him picking. What do you like about the old Buckeye?
Man, to look at the whole landscape of this kid right here. I know we talked a lot last cycle when we were hyping up John Sykes, the quarterback coming out of LSU.
Yeah.
He was a little bit taller and maybe had a better quarterback build coming out and going to the Broncos, but you saw just in one season what John Sykes was able to do with the Broncos. The Broncos went from picking number 2 to them almost going to the AFC Championship.
Right.
So I look at Romero, man, he's like that, kind of that hidden gem. He's only 5'11", which is probably his only knock in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you look at everything else, man, he's got great and elite rankings and everything on his list. I mean, the kid has that superstar X factor written all over him. And the way Big Homie plays, where he likes to run the ball, and he's not a very good passer. He can't just drop back and pass it. He needs a guy that's mobile.
Right.
The offensive line's not as good in Pittsburgh, so you got some weaknesses there. So I think this kid has going to be at least a superstar. He's going to have crazy speed, crazy throw power. I mean, he's just going to be an elite type quarterback. And when you're picking here, you got to pick a guy that has high potential. And when I look at the other quarterbacks, and there's some really good ones here, I think he sticks out just because of what he could be, and he's only 21. We're seeing a lot of younger guys in these drafts, which is a good thing. So you take a young guy, you go with the growing pains, but I just think that he's going to be I think he's going to be a high overall quarterback, and he will fit right in perfectly with Najee Harris and that offense. And I just think that he's kind of like that hidden gem. I revert back to John Sykes. We were kind of all over the place on Sykes, not knowing what it was going to be. And, man, he shocked the world. So I think Romero could be the John Sykes of this draft.
Yeah. I like Manuel Ribeiro. Oh, no, I put a B in the name. I'm sorry, young fella. Your name is Romero. So I like Romero, man. I think he's going to be a great addition to the Dml League. And as an analyst, man, I hope that Romero can come into Pittsburgh and actually take that team back to its winning days, like the steel curtain. But I got him going quarterback, but I got him going in the ACC with Brock Walton. And, right now, Brock Walton is the guy that everybody's pushing up, and they're talking like he's the next Joe Montana, he's the next John Elway. And from North Carolina, it's kind of hard for me to believe that, but this guy has put up numbers all his entire career. Now he comes in at 23, so he's two years older than Romero. So, but he has the experience, man. I mean, he's put up great numbers at North Carolina, man. He has a big arm. He can make all the reads. The only knock on him is of course he's not as fast as Romero, and that's not his game. His game is throwing the ball, reading the defense, and making and pretty much managing the game, making the right reads. So I like Brock Walton here, man, and I think he could possibly be a better fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I don't know the last scrambling quarterback they had since what? Cordell maybe, or they had Dobbs at one time, didn't they? But,
yeah, they actually drafted Joshua Dobbs back in the day,
Yeah.
But before that, yeah, you're probably talking Cordell Stewart, man. That's a throwback right there.
Yeah, so they have the tendency to kind of go with the stand in the pocket quarterbacks, man. I mean, so I think Brock Walton will be a great fit here. But whether it's Brock Walton or Romero, Steelers must go quarterback here to even have a chance to compete in that hard NFC North division. All right.
Man, I'm telling you, if that dude does not pick a quarterback we got to do a league vote on this dude's spot, because if he takes any other position, man, I don't care if you don't take one of our quarterbacks. Take a quarterback, man.
Right. Take a quarterback, bro.
Take a quarterback, dog. Like, it's that simple, man.
Or if not, hey, run with Pickett and throw the short passes and run the ball. You gotta find a way, man, to execute your playbook and your style of play. But going quarterback here will probably be the best option right here. All right, number 2, man. We got those Houston Texans coming in with the number 2 overall pick, and you got them going defense with Deontay Canty. Now, I've heard that Deontay Canty is probably probably the best guy in the draft. He ranges from Clemson, man. Big guy, led the NCAA in sacks for the last 2 years, so you already know what you're getting. He's a sack artist. He's going to meet you at the quarterback. So, Embro, why defense here? Why defense for the Texans?
Man, if any of y'all have ever looked at the Houston Texans games, he can put up points. He may lose a game 44-41. When you're giving up that many points and yards every single week, no matter who you're playing, that's a problem, man. He's got a great core of players with Stingley and Will Anderson and, some of the other guys that they brought in the last few drafts, but they got to get more pressure up front. If you can bring in Deontay Canty, man, who we all know Clemson, man, they farm defensive players, they farm defensive linemen. I mean, we see this almost every single draft where Clemson's putting out a defensive lineman. So, Canty, young guy, 21. I mean, he is regarded as the best player in the draft, which if Pittsburgh didn't have such a need at quarterback, I'd have been like, yo, man, Canty's the dude number 1 overall. That's how good he can be. So I think if you slide Canty in there, they need D linemen. I mean, you put him across from Will Anderson on that defensive front, you've just changed the whole complexion of your defense. Attacking the quarterback is everything. That division is being ran right now by the Jags. The Colts haven't stand a chance. The Titans don't look good. Houston hasn't looked good. So right now the Jags are running away from it. And Canty can come in there, get after the quarterback, play run defense. He fits everything the Texans need right now. And I know he's got to go defense. And this guy right here is almost 100% home run pick. I think he goes Canty without a shadow of a doubt. If he's on the board, I think that's his pick.
Yeah, I mean, this is like this is a real solid pick. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a guaranteed one with the Steelers going quarterback and then the Texans going DN. But I can see him going DN. But Deontay Canty, when you pair him up with Will Anderson Jr., that's a solid defensive line right there. 2 guys coming off the edge, hoping to, get a big hug from each other at the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, sir.
Like, it's gonna be hard blocking both of those guys. You know what I'm saying? So, and then hopefully, and I want to say, I don't know if he has two first-round picks.
He does have. He's got pick 20 because the Browns real live trade. He's got pick 20, so he's got potential to make really good changes to his team with hitting on both these picks.
Yes, definitely, and that's what I was about to get into. You go with when you go with the big DM out of Clemson, Deontay Canty, and maybe later on you possibly address maybe the DT spot. I'm always a guy, man, to feel like you got to build from the trenches. You know what I'm saying? He got some older cats there, but at the same time, I do feel like he needs to add some offensive weapons. Like, he drafted a big tight end last year, I believe, Shaquem Gates.
Yeah, that dude went off this year, man.
6'6", 241 with 85 speed. So, and he's a superstar. You know what I'm saying? So when you play the Texans, you kind of know where he's going, what he's looking for. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna key on that big tight end. But if you can bring another top-notch wide receiver in, now it's like, okay, pick your poison. You gonna guard the tight end, or you gonna guard this big receiver from Louisville, Dom Sheffield? You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure Marley knows about this guy because he's a big Louisville fan. So
Lamar Jackson University right there, man.
Yeah, right. So if you want to know anything about Dom Sheffield from what we were saying, hey, ask Marley. I'm pretty sure he can tell you a little something about him. But I like Dom Sheffield here, man, because I feel like he needs another big weapon. You know what I'm saying? Besides the tight end that he drafted last year, because like I said earlier, because I know when I watched him play and when I seen the Bears play him, he was keying on the tight end all the time. So I really didn't have the Bears owner really didn't have anything, any decision to make. Oh, I know where it's going, especially in the crunch times. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm going to the tight end. But when you bring in Dom Sheffield, 6'3", 222, man, he's gonna be a great player in the DML. You know what I'm saying? He has quick feet. He can go get the ball, man. He has good release. He runs routes to a T. Sometimes he lets the ball get to his chest a little bit. I would like to see him catch the ball more so with his hands. But other than that, I think he comes into Houston and gives them another weapon for Stroud and not just relying solely on the tight end. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Now the question is, how fast is Dom Sheffield going to run in the 40? You know what I'm saying?
He's a big dude at 6'3", 222. I mean, we saw last season where we had two top 10 receivers. I mean, two top 12 receivers and, Charles and Ringer. And we saw what those two dudes look like. I mean, They were like clones of a couple of these guys we have in this draft. So if you look at where the league's kind of going with these bigger, faster receivers, you're like, yo, man, those guys came out, they were home run hits. So Dom Sheffield, if he can show out at the pro day, I could definitely see him going number 2 because, like you said, Houston does need more offense.
Yeah.
He got away with some of the guys he was able to use last season, but again, I think guys do key on the tight end. We know JB loves to go to the tight end regardless of what he has, but when you know that that's his only vertical threat, that's his only pass catcher he trusts, you can hone in on that, and that's where he throws so many picks. So you add Dom Sheffield to the mix. You can't double team the tight end anymore. You got to worry about this 21-year-old phenom that can go out there and run and make splash plays. So if he were to take Sheffield, man, I don't think there would be anything wrong with that pick. I think going either way, defense or offense, he just needs a great pick. I think Sheffield is going to be a high overall player. I think he will be like what we saw last season.
Gotcha. All right, so before we move on to pick 3, I got a question because we got a solid guest on the show, and I'm only asking him this because I know what type of receivers he like. He like the big tall receivers, man. So
like some trees.
He like the trees. So I gotta get his opinion on this guy Dom Sheffield. Tight work.
Yes, sir.
I need your opinion on Dom Sheffield, man.
He's a tight build.
He's a tight build. Is he that guy?
He's a tight build.
If the owner of the Miami Dolphins are sitting at pick number 2, and you see this guy on the board,
he's a Dolphin.
He's a Dolphin.
He's a Dolphin.
So what?
No your fans or buts about it. He'll blend well with Tyreek and Waddle, and he big, physical.
Right.
He can block. He already got real good spec catch. You see him Moss, that guy in that bowl game.
Gotcha.
Hey, yeah, he's a player.
Gotcha.
He's a player, no doubt about it.
Gotcha. Yep. So I had to ask the guy who specializes in wide receivers, man, if Dom Sheffield was the guy, and he blessed us with some good advice as far as like, hey, if the guy's on the board, draft him. And I'm solely drafting him on the name Dom, because the only Dom that I know is the dude from Fast and Furious, and Dom be murdering in all the Fast and Furious sequels, man. So just by the name alone, hey, I'm drafting him just because his name is Dom. You know what I'm saying?
Dom's got that swag too.
Dom Cheatham.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about Dom Cheatham.
Oh, Don Cheatham as well.
One of the best actors ever.
Don Cheatham as well. All right, so we got our insight on pick number 2, man. Number 3 is gonna be a stretch, but we got the Giants coming in with pick number 3, and bro, you got them going O-line with DeAndre Clifford from the Florida Gators. Chop. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Why O-line? Who was he protecting?
Well, he has one or two good offensive linemen on that team. Or I know for sure he has one good offensive lineman. The rest of them, you're like, not so much.
Right.
And when you watch him play, man, every division game, those defenses were out there hunting. That rookie quarterback was scared to death to take a snap, man. It don't matter if you put the rookie, if you put Danny Pennies, it don't matter.
Danny Pennies.
I mean, that offensive line was horrendous. I mean, you could have all the beautiful receivers and running backs and tight ends in the world, but if they can't even block for 2 seconds to even let them to develop their routes and catch a ball, they're worthless to you. So when you look at him at the end of the season, he put out a tweet at the end of the season like, yo, the season was horrible. This is what we got to fix. And O-line was one of those things. And you could see like, hey, he knows his offensive line needs work. And so when you look at the draft, there's one offensive lineman that sticks out. He's the best left tackle in the draft. This draft is not as heavy on offensive linemen as it was the last draft. So when you're picking this high, yeah, you could go other places, but when you know you have a need, and I'm not a big person that always says draft for need, draft for value. I think right here you get both. You get this 6'6" monster who, I mean, is probably going to blow up the combine. He's probably going to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest offensive linemen out there. You need a guy like this. He may not come in and play left tackle because you already got Andrew Thomas.
Yeah. So
you kick him into left guard or you put him at right tackle. We've seen how, Evan Neal really hasn't panned out, man. He struggles a lot. So you may move Neal, kick him to guard and put this monster at right tackle. Now you've just changed what your offense looks like. You can give Saquon the ball and feel like, hey, he can get me some yards.
Right.
I can go run some play actions and feel like I'm not going to get sacked in a second.
Gotcha.
They're one of the most sacked teams, and this is the reason why. So I bet him going O-line, knowing skill trade, he could pick another damn corner for all we know. I mean, you just never know. But I think if he was smart and he follows this path, go offensive line here, man.
Yeah, I can see him going offensive line here, man. Getting that rookie Michael Miller some protection. So if you get DeAndre Clifford, Michael Miller is actually, instead of using that 90 speed running for his life, you can utilize that 90 speed where he's actually gaining some yards and not losing yards and not scared straight. You know what I'm saying? Because with 90 speed, like, there's so much stuff you can do. 90 speed, 89 acceleration. Like, this guy should really be excelling in New York. But hey, we all know, man, everything starts in the trenches. No O-line, you're not moving the ball. No D-line, you're not getting no pressure on the quarterback. Which is why I got him going DT, Mr. Richard Norwood out of Clemson. Now, many people might say this might be a far stretch because actually looking at the DT draft, the DTs in the draft, now I might be wrong, but and bro, you can back me up on this. They don't look as strong. This is not a really what's the word I'm looking for? This is not a really this is not the strength of the draft, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? But when I look at Rashard Norwood, I think he's a sleeper, man. And the reason I say that is because one, he's from Clemson. And y'all know, and we said it before, Clemson produces D-line. You know what I'm saying? So you can't go wrong with that. He's a run stopper. 6'2", 320. You know what I'm saying? That's a big body right there holding it down. Especially when you got teams like the Cowboys with Pollard. You got WFT who loves to run the ball with Robinson. And then the Eagles, I don't know what the Eagles doing over there, but
man, how the Eagles are in a Super Bowl in season 1 or 2 is beyond me, but that's for a different day, man.
Right. And the dude has B block said C power move, his finesse move could be, in the middle, but I just like him because he's a big body, and I just think that the Giants need to add some depth and get a start on the D line. When you look at the D line, especially on the DTs, let's take a look real quick and see what.
Well, they lost Leonard Williams last year. They let him go to free agency, and you saw what he did for the Bears. I mean, he came in there and he wreaked havoc in Chicago. So you're like, man, you lost a really good player.
Right.
And so outside of Dexter Lawrence, you really didn't see that production. Thibodeau didn't really, put up numbers that you would think. So like you said, they need something in the trenches. So I think this would be a little bit of a reach just because of of where he's at. But when you look at him, you're like, yo, man, this dude could be that hidden gem, that late riser. If he can go to the combine and show, hey, Canny's not only the number one guy in the draft, but I'm just as close because we played together. He can maybe go make a case for why he may be the best defensive lineman coming from Clemson, And so I think that he could be a really good fit for the Giants. I don't think you could ever go wrong by picking a big body like that on the O-line or D-line.
Right. The only question here is Richard Norwood producing because of Deontay Candy is on the other side?
Right.
That's what you have to look at. Now, Richard Norwood gets down to the Giants. He produces. That means Deontay Candy and Norwood were just beasts for Clemson, and they can get a job no matter if they're together or if they're separate. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you're hoping. But the big fella from Clemson can get it done.
And you look at his speed, I mean, his 40 times is going to tell you a lot. I mean, you see those big Clemson guys. Most of them guys can move. I mean, look at Christian Wilkins for the Dolphins. I mean, that's a big dude, and he moves like a DN, like a 4-3 DN. And you're like, yo, he shouldn't move like that. So he's got some of that wiggle to him where he can get after the run, the quarterback. And so you look at the potential in there. I think his pro day and combine is going to tell a lot. But if he were to take him, man, he could get a sleeper home run pick right there. You could be onto something.
Yeah. All right. Next up, man, we got the Arizona Cardinals coming in at pick number 4. And you got him going Johnny Burgess out of Notre Dame. Man, the kid out of Notre Dame is really good. Now, the question is he similar to Emmanuel Rogers that the Bears drafted last year who moved to DN? Or is he better? You know what I'm saying? What's your take on Johnny Burgess, and why does he fit Arizona out of anybody? Why do you have him going to Arizona here at the 4th spot?
Well, Emmanuel Rogers, man, he had everything that you wanted in a linebacker DN hybrid. We talked about him last time we were on here, and man, he looked like he had all the tools to be a superstar, and he played well, but he just couldn't get the sack. Like we talked about this, like he was getting so close, but he could never just get the sack. And in this type of draft slot, you got to get a guy that can get the sack. And I think with this kid right here, who he's more of a rusher, or more of a power rusher. I think his pass rushing moves are probably a little bit more established at this point.
Yeah.
He's a young kid, but he's pretty big. He's 6'3", 258. So I think he fits that 3-4 outside linebacker role better.
Right.
I think he comes into Arizona where they kind of picked up some steam late in the season. You saw that, they were getting blown out almost every game early, but he picked up a few wins. He knocked off the San Francisco 49ers, who was the dominant team in this league. And he showed that, hey, if I can get some more guys on defense, I could do this routinely. So I think if you get a guy who can go in there and pair with the guys that he already has out there, I think he fits right in. I think he actually comes in. I think he has potential to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Right.
He's 21, so he's young. We know those younger guys maybe sometimes tend to struggle, but I think he has everything you want in an outside rusher. He may not give you that 88 speed type, look. But I think when it comes to him being able to block shed and get out and get after the quarterback, that's what you want.
Right.
I think he's going to have a high awareness rating. I think he's going to have a high block shed. You're not going to put that guy into coverage, but you're not drafting him to do that. You're drafting him to go sack the quarterback. And so I think he can have a way more productive year than Emmanuel Rogers. I think Emmanuel Rogers is going to have a sophomore jump for the Bears. So I think this kid right here could be that dude for him.
Gotcha. I like the Johnny Burgess draft pick right here as well. I think if you team him up with the guy that's already in place, you got a veteran there, T.J. Edwards. So he'll be able to learn from him. But when you tag him along with the other young guys there, like Owen Papo, I think
Ojulari from LSU.
Yeah, Ojulari from LSU. You put him on the left side, like he could have some real good, fast and effective pass rushers right there, man, and it could possibly help him win some games. We all know defense wins games, which is why I got him going cornerback, and the reason why is because he had some young guys there, but I think like the Mike Jackson Sr. He's getting older, could be on his way out. I'm not scared of him. I'm throwing at him every play. You got Marco Wilson. He can get lost in the sauce sometimes. And then he's in a division that passes a lot anyway. With the Rams always throwing the drags and the slants. You know what I'm saying? You got the Seahawks who's throwing up the DK. And then you got the 49ers who love to throw as well. So I got him going Terrell Biddle from Illinois. And we all know the last cornerback who got drafted out of Illinois, he's a dog. You know what I'm saying? Now, Biddle, I think he's going to be a pretty fast guy. I think his man coverage is going to be pretty good. And now, it could be some other cornerbacks better than him, but he just stands out to me. You know what I'm saying? At 6'3", 180. Now, many of us fear Metcalf because he's so big and tall. You know what I'm saying? But with Terrell Biddle coming in at 6'3", 180, 22 years old, he's gonna be able to, I think, hang with a DK. He might not be stronger than DK, but he's gonna be able to run with him and jump with him. He has great to elite speed, good strength, great change of direction, great acceleration, and he has great to elite agility. So he has smooth hips, quick feet, and he can run with anybody. Now, the knock on Biddle is sometimes he tends to look in the backfield too much, so he can get caught looking for the run, looking for the QB sneaks and stuff like that, and then get beat over the top. And he relies too much on his athleticism. You know what I'm saying? I think when you get him down there with Arizona, better coaching, they may be able to break those bad tendencies that Terrell Biddle has. Then he can become a complete cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals, and possibly, like you said, be in the running with Johnny Burgess for defensive rookie of the year.
I mean, we saw a cornerback last season go pretty high in Hurst to Atlanta.
Yeah, to Atlanta.
Similar build. I think he was like 6'3", 6'4", probably on the same weight, had all the same type of attributes and things that you were looking at. And we saw what he did. I mean, he helped the Falcons, not be as bad as they were the previous year on defense, and you saw that drastic change. So if the Cardinals were to take Biddle, because he's that athletic freak, he's that big, lanky, fast corner, and we know everyone in the league wants a guy like this on their team. Right. And I think he would be a home run pick for the Cardinals because I think their highest overall corner was like a 74. You can't win this league with a 74 overall corner as your number one corner. You just can't. I don't care what division, what team you play for. That's just not a recipe for success. And like you said, with the division he's in, they all chuck the rock. So I think this would be a great pick. I think that this pick, he would fit in real well. And he would be in the running for defensive rookie of the year.
Gotcha. All right, now we're gonna go back to our silent listener right here, man. Mr. Tightwork. I know you know about cornerbacks down there in Miami, man, with Jalen Ramsey, previously Xavier Howard. You got Kahu. Is Terrell Biddle a guy that could make plays in Miami?
He got all the tools, man. He perfect and everything. Got the size. I wish he was a little thicker to be 6'3", but 184.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He got a little bit. His frame can carry more weight, but he can run, jump, and if a team playing a lot of man-to-man, this guy's perfect. He, like you said, he tends to look in the backfield too much in zone and give up passes that he shouldn't give up. But if you're a press man scheme, this will be the guy for you.
Gotcha. So Terrell Biddle can come in and in the DML, make a name for himself, and possibly win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, going back to Johnny Burgess and how we kind of compared him to the Emmanuel Rogers, he did get one sack for the season against the Packers in the playoff game. He called me on the phone, but hey, Mr. Buss, please mention that I do have one sack on the season, and I did have 18 tackles for loss, but that's gonna get better.
Man, that was pure pain. When I saw number 0 get that sack, I'm like, damn, I was the first dude that gave up a sack to this guy. I told you I did not want to be the quarterback he sacked first. And sure enough, his only sack came on Jordan Love, man.
Yes, sir.
Keep it going, man. We ain't trying to talk about the Bears.
All right, next up, man. Let's rise. Is it rise up for the Falcons?
Rise up.
Rise up. I'm going to need for the Falcons to rise up and get out of this top 5, bro. Like, come on, man. So, all right, man. We both got them going defense. I'm gonna speak on Johnny Burgess first since we already kind of talked about him. But we already kind of know what Johnny Burgess is going to bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? And I think here, no matter who you pick, it's going to help this team. Basically because he can win the division. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the outside linebackers, he has an Arnell Ebikatiti. I think that's the name. Ebikati. I think that's the name. He's old, 25 years old.
Call him Izzy E, man. We ain't trying to butcher that name over here, man. Call him Izzy E.
You got an old, elderly Deion Jones there. But then you got another old guy who can still hold it down for right now in Lorenzo Carter. So I think at some point, you got to start getting younger at that outside linebacker spot. And Johnny Burgess brings every aspect of a great, young, promising outside linebacker to the Falcons. Johnny Burgess, man. I think this is a guy that the Falcons owner needs to draft. He's at the fifth spot. I think he's gonna be there. Please don't go quarterback, don't go wide receiver. We know that's what you normally do in these drafts. Last year you went cornerback. Build that defense to help you stop people. You know what I'm saying? Because there ain't that much scoring going on in the NFC South. You know what I'm saying? Stop people from scoring, and then build your defense, and then work on your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But you got him going on the defensive side as well. But you got him going Marcus Winslow out of the U. Tell me about Mr. Marcus Winslow.
This dude looks like a Falcon. When you look at this guy, you're like, oh, man, he's built for Atlanta. He looks like a guy that could go into that locker room and change the culture. And that's what you need, man. I mean, like you've already mentioned, the guys that they have, none of them dudes you mentioned scare anybody. Like,
right.
They don't scare anybody. And the NFC South is weak, man. They put an 8-9 team in the playoffs. They hosted a playoff game. That's how bad that division is. So when you're the Falcons, when you're the commish, you're like, hey, man, I'm a few wins off, and that could have been me hosting a playoff game.
Right.
But when you're giving up the points that you're giving up, you've already made one big home run hit last year with Hurst. Go get you another win. This kid, Marcus Winslow, he's got 4-3, hand in the dirt. I'm getting after the quarterback type of look to him. I'm not going to say he's a Micah Parsons, Bosa type player, because those guys, you just saw that they were aliens when it came to football. But he's not too far off. I think he's going to have high speed, high acceleration, and I think his finesse type of pass rushing moves are going to show. I think he's going to be able to beat any left tackle, any right tackle almost relentlessly. I think he's got that type of talent. And so when you plug him in next to Grady Jarrett and you put them on the same side, it's going to be tough for any side of that offensive line to block them guys. And that's what you need. You got to get a pass rush. I know the Falcons, they were heartbroken when they saw their boy Deion Elliott, go to Green Bay, and you saw the impact Elliott had last year for the Packers. He put up crazy sack numbers. And so, again, we've mentioned how many times it starts in the trenches. Go get you a pass rusher. This dude is the next guy behind Kenny. Obviously, we think Kenny's going to go pretty high. So go get that guy. I think Winslow fits right in. Nasty Noob, we're tired of talking about you in the top 5, man. Like, we've talked about this too many times. You thought you were going to stay out of the top 5 by getting that win late, but you're still here, man. We need better. We're tired of talking about the Falcons being in the top 10, especially the top 5. Come on, man.
Yeah. All right. So, that's who we got going to the Falcons, man. Hopefully they can rise up out of the top 5 and out of the top 10 and win that division, man. Next up, pick 6, man. We got the Colts coming in. Now, these are both guys that we've already talked about. But let's start off with Terrell Biddle. You got him going Biddle. and bringing him in in the secondary. Why Biddle? We know what he can do. Why Biddle?
Right. I mean, I think, again, we talked about him in Arizona and what kind of impact he can make. The Colts on the same kind of defense. They put their corners on the island and they struggle. This guy, you bring him in here, you let him run man-to-man coverage, it's going to be tough. I mean, you look at the teams in that division also is winnable. The Jags are right now smacking everybody because the competition isn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
But you bring in Biddle, that changes the whole look of your defense. You feel a little bit more comfortable putting your corners on the island. You already got some good safeties there. You drafted a great linebacker last year that made a great impact. You may lose some guys in free agency because of cap stuff, but you got to go out there and get you a corner. And we've already said that we think Biddle is probably the best corner, the most athletically gifted corner. If he's there at pick 6, you got to take him, man.
Yeah, you got to take him, and solely because even when you look at the current cornerbacks on the Colts roster right now, they're 29, they're both going to be 30. So you can expect some both of those cornerbacks, Kenny Moore and Rasul Douglas, to decline. You know what I'm saying? So you got Julius Brents right there, who's a day one starter. He's decent, but I'm not scared of him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's not. He's not gonna say
that dude ain't putting nobody.
Yeah, he's not gonna say, hey, I can't throw that side. Matter of fact, I'm throwing directly at him. You know what I'm saying? But when you bring in Biddle brings in a little terrifying aspect to the Colts secondary, and it's like, okay, I ain't throwing that way. We're going back to Julius Brents. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So until you get Biddle in and possibly another cornerback, Biddle might not even see a lot of action if you draft him, because Brents is gonna get all the action because they know what type of player Terrell Biddle is. You know what I'm saying? So now, I got him going DN. I got him going Deontay Canty. Now, Deontay Canty sliding down to 6 is very, can we say unlikely? But I don't know.
It would be a shocker. If he fell to 6, hey, GG's, man.
Yeah.
You've been blessed with a great player.
If he fell to 6, it would definitely be a shocker. Now, the reason I have him going there is because, one, man, he has nobody here. You know what I'm saying? You got an old Samson Ubakam who's about to be 30. You got a Odeyo Bingo. You know what I'm saying? I probably mucked up his name too, but he's decent. But on the other side, there's nobody that's going.
And Buckner may not come back either. Buckner's in the final year, and he may be at the door in Indy.
Yeah, and they traded Kwity Paye last year to the Bears, so I feel like Deontay Canty is your replacement and your building point as far as getting this D-line back to where it was. You know what I'm saying? We already know what Deontay Canty is going to be bringing, but let's take a quick comparison, man. So Deontay Canty kind of reminds me of Daniel Hunter coming out of LSU. Canty is 6'3", weighs 265. Hunter was 6'5", weighed 252, so he was a little lighter than Canty. Hunter ran a 4.57 in the 40-yard dash and only benched 25. Now, these are just the projections of Deontay Canty at the combine and at the pro day, because those haven't taken place yet. But he's projected to run a 4.54, and projected to at least get 30 on the bench. Now, we all know the impact that Daniel Hunter has had on the Minnesota Vikings. Deontay Canty can bring that same impact to whatever team drafts him. If it's the Colts, man, like Ambrose said, you've been blessed. You know what I'm saying? Get on your knees, say a prayer, say thank you, because this guy should not really fall to pick 6. Just my opinion. Now, I felt like he reminds me of Daniel Hunter. Does the Deontay Canty remind you of anybody else that's pretty dominant currently in the DML, or somebody who has retired from the DML in the past couple seasons?
I mean, I'm gonna go with the guy that used to play with the Colts. I mean, you look at someone like Dwight Freeney. Robert
okay.
Mathis type build. I
Okay.
mean, if you look at the builds that those guys used to be coming out of Syracuse and Alabama A&M, those guys fit with what Indy likes at the DN. And if you look at the way he played at Clemson, he already said that he led the league in sacks. So
Yeah.
Hunter, when he played at LSU, crazy enough, he didn't really get any sacks at LSU. I think he had like 4 or 5 sacks in his college career. So
Right.
to see someone like Hunter, boom into the guy he is now for the Vikings is just crazy because, I mean, he's a, 12 to 15, sack guy a year. So
Yeah.
it was crazy to see the production in the NFL. So I kind of look at those two guys. He's got great finesse move, great power move. He can spin. He can swim move. He's going to, knock you back with the bull rush. I think he can do all that. And we saw those kind of guys in Indy. So I think if he were to go to the Colts, I think the ownership's going to have to give them guys a call and say, hey, come teach this young fella how to do what y'all did for a decade.
Right. Those are definitely some big shoes to fill with Freeney and Mathis, man. But even looking at Daniel Hunter, I mean, in 2020 he had 14 sacks, 2022 11. Then it's been on a little decline since he had 6 in 2023 and then 7.5 in 2024. But I think that's just because of new ownership coming in. But I can expect those sack numbers for Daniel Hunter to increase. Now, this is where we have the same exact picks. For the Bucks, we got LSU guy Joe Manuel going to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now, Embro, why Joe Manuel here versus previously where we had what's the other receiver's name?
Dom Sheffield.
Could this be a toss-up, or is it just a matter of preference here? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you got to go with wide receiver U right now. I mean, look at the products that LSU's been throwing out. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson. I mean, you got Jamar Chase. I mean, you can go on and on about what they put out recently. So when you get a guy like Joe Manuel, who's 6'4", 217, I mean, another athletic freak. I mean, both him and Sheffield are like Ringer and Charles last year. I mean, it's 1A, 1B. So it's kind of like personal preference. And so for you already had Sheffield gone. So by default, you're like, hey, he's the next dude that the Bucks need to draft. For me, I actually think Manuel is probably a little bit better just because he's taller.
Yeah.
I think he may run a little bit better, so I think that's just, again, personal preference. But I think if you plug him in, he's your Mike Evans replacement. And you saw this year the Bucks struggled. They could not, put out the production that they did the previous year. That's why he's picking where he's picking.
Yeah.
And you go get the young quarterback some help that they drafted last year. He drafted a speedster last year in the draft, drafted an X Factor tight end. You go out there and you add Joe Manuel to your roster. You got 2 great receivers, a great tight end, a great young quarterback with a good offensive line. That's a recipe for success.
Yeah.
You plug this dude in, man. Again, you saw the NFC South was really weak. He's only a couple of wins away from maybe compete for that division. You get a guy like this, you plug him in, you're fine for that division, man.
Right. So it's some breaking news that just came through for Joe Manuel. He's been caught messing around with little girls. I don't know what's gonna happen, if he's still gonna be in the draft or not, but we need to make sure we keep an eye on that and see what happens and how this story turns out. Now, this could just be false information with somebody just trying to get him hemmed up because they know he's about to make it big in the DML and about to make this bank. But right now, lawyers are saying he's innocent. None of this stuff is true. He doesn't even know the female that's came out and brought his name out. But let's make sure we keep an eye on this. However, tight work. This is another one of your guys, man, Joe Manuel. Tight work, Bill. Who do you prefer, Joe Manuel or Dom Sheffield? And tight work probably has exited right now. The silent listener.
Yeah, I think tight work dropped the call in accident, man. But I mean, again, I think he would piggyback off what he talked about Dom Sheffield. I mean, another tree. The league is kind of going to those big, tall, fast receivers. So, I mean, again, if the Dolphins were picking here, if Dom Sheffield was gone, the Dolphins would pick this dude. I mean, It's just that simple. He's that type of player that you're like, man, you could put him in any offense. He's gonna ball out, man.
Yeah, I just checked my email, and the silent listener had to exit real quick. There was some trade talk in Miami, and so he had to be there in the.
There's always trade talk in Miami, man. You know, we pass out that Cosby Award, so we're waiting for that breaking news on the first Cosby. So it may be Miami. We don't know.
Right. All right, man. Next up, man, we got the LA Rams on the board coming in at pick 8, and you got them going Dom Sheffield. Why?
I mean, again, it's 1A, 1B.
Right.
You see where the Rams went last year. They took Mario Marshall, the quarterback from SC. Again, up and down year. The Rams ownership, they play when they want to play. So, again, they got to go out there and look for guys to go and throw the ball to. They don't have a threat at tight end. Cooper Kupp's kind of getting long in the tooth. I know they drafted a guy last year, but didn't really produce like they thought they were. Go get the young kids some playmakers. When you got a guy on the board, whether it's Sheffield, whether it's Joe Manuel, whatever it is, if there's a receiver, if either one of those guys is here at that spot, you got to take them.
Yeah.
When you're picking this high, you're picking this high for a reason. You got to be able to put up points on the board. When you're playing in a division with the Super Bowl representative in the Seahawks, a high octane perennial Super Bowl contender in the 49ers, you got to be able to put up points, man. And the 49, I mean the Rams struggle with that.
Yeah. You
saw the division games he couldn't compete in with those two teams because of that reason. So you plug in a guy like Dom Sheffield, like that's a game changer. I mean, a complete game changer for that offense. I think it would maybe help him not run so many slants and drags. It may let him go vertical because those guys are big, tall trees. They're going to go up there and get it. So, I know he has Claypool out there, but Claypool just isn't that guy.
Yeah.
You plug in a guy like this, that becomes your it dude. That guy that the other team knows, hey, I got to scheme and prepare my defense around him.
Right. I like Dom Sheffield coming to the Rams. Yes, we mentioned about Cooper Kupp. He's, getting up in age. He'll be 32, but he's still that guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's still a guy you got to look out for. But when you got Cooper Kupp, you draft Dom Sheffield if he's still there, and then you got the young fast guy that you drafted last year, Harold Poe. That's a nice little wide receiver core. You know what I'm saying? And not many defenses are going to be able to stop him. However, I still think he goes defense here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at his safeties, and they are not good at all. You know what I'm saying? You got Marquise Blair there, who's a journeyman. Jason Taylor, he could possibly make something happen here, but I think you bring in a guy like Jaleel Gaffney out of Notre Dame, and he instantly brings in some punch to that free safety spot. But when you're looking at Jaleel Gaffney coming from Notre Dame, he was there with Burgess, the linebacker, last year. The year before that, he was there with Burgess and Emmanuel Rogers, and with both of those guys creating pressure and bringing heat to the quarterback, he was able to feed off of that to lead Notre Dame in interceptions for 2 seasons. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at his attributes, I think he's a great guy that can come into LA and be the guy. So when you're looking at his attributes, he's a run support guy, so he's gonna lay ahead on you. A hit power, A tackle, C man coverage, B zone coverage is gonna be between a B and a C. I'm thinking more of a B because he has range and he can take the ball away. You know what I'm saying? Some of his notes aggressive ball hawk. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's gonna have great to elite speed. No 40s ran yet, but you can see it on tape. He can fly, which is why he's able to get those interceptions, man, that may be across the other side of the field. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing you look for. Everyone's looking for that safety who can not only run well, but it can also go and deliver a hit.
Yeah.
When you got A hit power, that means you're going to be a nasty hitter when it comes time for you to play in the league. And, you know, when your division with, you know, Kenneth Moonwalk Walker, who's just running through everybody right now.
Yes, sir.
And you got CMC and you got, I mean, look at all three running backs in his division.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker, crazy stats this year.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey, back-to-back crazy stats. And then you got the Cardinals running back who, I don't know if you remember, but the Styles posted a clip of the running back who probably broke 8 or 9 tackles in that one clip in the game they played.
Yep.
They couldn't tackle him.
Yeah.
You bring in a guy like Jaleel Gaffney, that play ain't happening.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
He's going to come down in the box, lay the wood, man, and deliver bone-crushing hits. That's what you want in a safety. I think this would be a great pick. I think maybe it's a little high for a safety with some of the guys on the board, but if he went safety, it'd be a great pick because, again, you're getting good value and a need. You're kind of hitting both those spots. So we kind of a consensus think that Gaffney is probably the best safety in the class.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong with getting a DB like that and bring him to L.A.
Yeah, Gaffney is going to make you make business decisions. You come across the middle.
Oh, big time business decisions.
Do I make this catch? Or do I just let it go? You know what I'm saying? And able to line up again on the next couple of plays because he gonna take your head off. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, make that decision, make the catch, be out for a month, or hey, miss the catch, be fussed at by your teammates, but you get to see the field the rest of the game.
Aaron Donald's still there wreaking havoc in LA. So when you're going back to back, you know, when you're having Rodgers and Burgess playing and getting the sacks and kind of creating that pressure, AD's still out there doing his thing. So I think he can kind of like piggyback off of that and continue that success like he did at Notre Dame.
Totally agree, man. Totally agree. All right, man. Coming in at pick 9, we got the Minnesota Vikings, man, and you got them going defense. Brendan Shaw from the U. Now, when we think about middle linebacker from the U, what's the first name you think of?
Oh, man, you think Ray Lewis. I mean, you think every elite hitter you could think of, I think at some point was recruited or played for the U.
Right. So, Brendan Shaw, man, I mean, why Minnesota? What do you like about the kid? And will he be able to, you know, resemble a Ray Lewis out of the U?
Oh, man, I mean, you just said it. I mean, when you look at Brendan Shaw, you see Ray Lewis. I mean, you see that dude that is going to sit there and be the middle of your defense, and he's going to strike fear into that opponent and know that, hey, I don't want to run that direction. Yeah. And I think the Vikings got a good defensive line. You got Hunter. You got some of those guys that are still there that are going to be able to keep the offensive linemen and off the linebackers and let him go make plays.
Yeah.
You know, the Vikings were in a lot of games this year. He played in a lot of contested divisional matchups. You know, there's some games where it got away late because the run games got to him. You plug a guy like Brendan Shaw in the middle of that lineup, that completely changes what you're doing. When you got an elite D lineman in Hunter, you got an elite safety and Lewis Seen. You drafted a great corner last year as well. I mean, you need that linebacker. There's not a linebacker on that roster that really scares you. But if you draft Brendan Shaw, that changes. Yeah. And that changes the whole outlook. It changes everything immediately. I mean, again, he's a young kid, 21. He's going to have, good speed. He's going to have good acceleration. I think he's going to, be another one of those big hitter type players. He's going to have high play rec. And what's crazy, at middle linebacker, his man coverage is an A and his zone coverage is a B. Yeah. That tells you that guy can not only play the run well, but he can go cover. Yes. And you got some good tight ends in the league. And I think right here, he can just be that dude. And I think he's a home run pick for the Vikes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. He's going to come in. I don't know, but this could be one of those generational players. It's possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's going to have he got A awareness, so he's going to be smart. His overall going to be high. And A play rec. B zone, B tackle. And like Ambrose said, you got some great tight ends in the NFC North. With you got Kyle, you got Commit, you got the guy, what's the guy from the Packers?
Oh man, you know who Luke Musgrave is, man.
Yeah, that guy,
dude.
That guy, and then shoot, who else? Is there another tight end besides him and Komet?
I mean, you look at
Oh,
the other young guy for the Lions, Laporta.
yeah, Laporta. So yeah, you bring in Brendan Shaw. He's gonna get some work immediately from having to cover those tight ends. But and the question is, it's not whether he can cover them. You know what I'm saying? It's whether those tight ends can get catches over him. Right. So he's gonna be there to make those catches and have great coverage against those tight ends. So I got him going out of Arizona State, safety Von Davis. And that pick solely comes from the possibility of Harrison Smith retiring. So Harrison Smith retires, at least a void in the back end of your secondary. You know what I'm saying? So I think Von Davis will be a great guy who can come in. His coverage is going to be a little subpar. Like, he got C-zone, but Harrison Smith plays strong safety. If you draft Von Davis, you're gonna want to move him to strong safety because he has a hit power, a tackle,
another thumper like Gaffney,
right?
Another guy there that is gonna come down in the box and be almost like an OP linebacker.
Gotcha. So 6'2", 206, 22 years old, good to great speed, decent acceleration. And that comes from, like I said before, he's not that great in coverage, but he will lay the wood and give you that run support. And why do you need run support? Because look at the teams that you're playing against. The Packers has the MVP of the league. Is it Davenport? No, that's not his name.
Ladarius Levert, man.
Yeah, him.
Him. All you gotta say is him.
Yeah.
Him. Just say him, and we know who you're talking about.
Right. And you got the Bears organization who traded for DeMarcado, who ran really well. And then, oh man, you got Gibbs over there
in
Detroit, who's a burner, but he's light in the ass. So when you got a guy like Von Davis coming out there laying the wood, it's gonna slow him down. He's gonna get fatigue, and those cuts ain't gonna be as sharp and crisp anymore. That's why you get a guy like Von Davis and you move him to strong safety where he can excel and play in the box. He's a headhunter.
Imagine having Von Davis and Lewis Seen as a safety duo.
Yes.
I mean, that's just a crazy, and they're both young, both can hit, both can cover. I mean,
right.
you can't go wrong with having a two-headed monster like that at safety.
Right. Totally agree. So, the final pick, and this team is actually in the Super Bowl that's going to be played tonight around 8:30 or 9. You got the Baltimore Ravens coming in at pick number 10 via Bills with the trade that they made last season. Now, another Clemson guy coming up, and I'm gonna tell you, bro, I looked at this roster and I had a hard time trying to figure out where he would go because the roster is really good. He's really decent and at every position almost. You know what I'm saying? So there's no wonder why he's in the Super Bowl again. You know what I'm saying? So you got him going Leonard Traynor from Clemson, the right tackle.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Ravens roster, you're like, man, there's not really any deficiencies. I mean, they're really good almost at every spot. But when you look at the offensive line, you got, your left tackle's getting long in the tooth, your right tackle's getting long in the tooth. You got Lamar Jackson who's locked in long term. You got a lot of great weapons out there. I mean, you can never go wrong. And when you're picking this high and you have a chance to pick like that what if kind of guy, that elite talent who could be that boom type sensation, that offensive line. This guy reminds me of Mekhi Becton.
Yes.
When he came out a few years ago, just a big, massive dude that is just like, he could just take over a game at the tackle position. Now we know Becton got hit with the injury, so we didn't get to see that. But you see Becton now coming back. He playing really well for the Jets. So I think if you can go out there and get a guy like Traynor who's 6'8", 332, just a mauler at right tackle, you plug him in, again, what do the Ravens like to do? They like to beat you into submission. And you add a guy like that fits what he does. and I don't think they skip a beat, and he just keeps the truck rolling. I mean, man, you just think at this point the Ravens may fall off, but I think it's just going to be a continual thing, man. I think he's going to keep the ball rolling. And, I mean, man, after tonight, we could see a back-to-back champ in Vandy, and you add a guy like Trainer, man, you're just going to keep it rolling, man.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a great pick, man, because you want to protect your investment, and your investment is Lamar Jackson, big trust. You know what I'm saying? But I got him going cornerback, and out of North Dakota State. We all know about North Dakota State. You know
North Dakota State, man. There's far and few cats that come from up there.
We all know about North Dakota State. You know what I'm saying? There's some pretty decent players that came out of there, but some big failures as well. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think Gabe Winslow is going to follow suit and be a failure. This guy right here is one of the top cornerbacks. Now, he may not be as good as Terrell Biddle, but if you're looking for a guy who could come in, learn real quick, and give you some extra help in the secondary, then this is your guy. Let's see what he looks like real quick when we go over
and you
there.
know the Ravens drafted pick 32 last season, and they took a corner, and look at what they did with Gatewood out of Florida. I mean, he knows how to draft guys late, and and now he's picking early, and now you can go get a guy like him. I mean, man, it fits the Ravens mold.
Yes, and that's why I had him picking Gabe Winslow. He has great to elite speed, solid acceleration, good to great agility, and the guy has a man coverage. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna be able to run with anybody. You know what I'm saying? Now,
and we saw last season, the Steelers take a cornerback who had, I think, a zone, and he came out the box with like 86 zone coverage.
Yes.
So imagine a rookie corner like this coming out and having 85, 86 man.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
That's gonna be and that's gonna be really good in the DML. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of teams like to run zone, but when you run man, you want to have somebody out there, one, who's fast, and two, who can actually run man coverage. You know what I'm saying? So Gabe Winslow is a guy from North Dakota State, and he wants to make sure that, hey man, I know those other guys that came out of North Dakota State aren't really doing anything, may not even be in the DML anymore, but I'm that guy. So,
and you look at the Ravens, who you got Gatewood, who's a young first-round pick, star player already playing for the Ravens. You got Marlon Humphrey, man, who's going to be 29 years old. At that age where you kind of maybe see some of that regression hit, and you bring in a guy like, Winslow, who pair him up with Gatewood to learn from Humphrey. I mean, you don't miss a beat, and you already got two great safeties. I mean, man, you're just giving a Super Bowl champ perennially a back-to-back another toy in the secondary, and Winslow would just fit right in.
Totally agree, man. So, hey, man, that was a quick rundown of the top 10 draft order for the DML draft that's coming up. And I know on the screen you may see Saturday, but because we're moving pretty quick, the draft has been moved up to Friday at 10 p.m. So, get your player resigns done, man. Look at your boards, get them set, because once we hit that draft, it's going to be on and popping. And you don't want to get skipped, because once you get skipped, it's going to be 2 or 3 skips until you say something. So be ready for the draft Friday at 10 p.m., man. Once again, shout out to my man Embro for getting on the show with me. Shout out to the silent listener, Tight Work, who jumped on and gave us a couple words for a couple receivers here. But other than that, man, hey, man, we out.